Hi, I'm LibbyLimon, nutritional therapist, and I'm here today with Raw Press to chat to you about food intolerances. How do you know if you have one, and is there anything you can actually do about it? So the first thing to know about food intolerances is there are different levels. So there's everything all the way from an allergy all the way to a mild intolerance. So if you have an allergy, you definitely know about it. So that is if you have like a shellfish allergy or a nut allergy, and if you have those things, you have a strong reaction, you have an anaphylactic shock. Your body produces too much histamine and it's a really serious issue. The kind of next stage is if you have an autoimmune reaction. So if you are celiac, or it's also related to things like thyroid, Hashimoto's. So if you eat a certain food such as gluten, your body produces antibodies and starts to have a negative reaction and causes an autoimmune disease. Another type of intolerance is if your body can't produce or doesn't produce the enzyme to break down that food. So this is where lactose intolerance comes in. Some people genetically don't have the DNA to make lactase, the enzyme that breaks down lactose. There's also another kind of intolerance that is similar, and that is histamine intolerance. So you might react like you have an allergy, like a true allergy to something, but actually it's the histamine in the food that you can't break down, so that starts to build up in your body. So if you're constantly having hay fever type symptoms, so things like stuffy nose, running eyes, but there's no pollen in the air, then it may be to do with the fact that you have a histamine intolerance. Histamine is high in foods like wine, cheese, cured meats. So if they're the ones that cause you issue, then histamine might be your problem. So we've talked about really true allergies, true intolerances, where you either don't have the enzyme or they cause your body to have immune reaction. Now we're going to talk about developed intolerance. So these are more related to gut issues, and they may be related to foods that you don't even understand why they're causing you issue. Actually, the real problem is that your gut is not functioning properly, and maybe check out my video on gut dysfunction here. So if your gut isn't functioning properly, then it becomes harder to digest lots of different foods. So your body doesn't have the stomach acid or the enzymes, or doesn't have the right bacteria to break down foods. Therefore, things that usually or before you were fine with start causing you gastric dysfunction and discomfort. So is there anything you can do about it? If it's an innate immune or allergenic reaction, then you really do have to avoid those foods from now on. However, I would really be mindful that if you're cutting a certain food group out, then you're replacing the nutrients that you're missing from that food group elsewhere. If it's a developed intolerance, then look at healing your gut. Take out the foods in the short term, and then in the long term, look to improve your health, improve the way your body can cope with these foods, and then you may be able to reintroduce them at a later date. So if you're cutting out a certain food group, if it's just one food group, say for example, gluten is an issue for you, so you're taking out gluten grains, it's actually quite easy to replace that with some non-gluten grains. I would avoid very processed foods that are labeled gluten-free, but not necessarily are that healthy because they have lots of other junk in them. If you have more than one food intolerance and you're having to restrict your diet quite severely, then I would definitely get professional advice. Maybe go and see a nutritionist or speak to somebody that knows a little bit more about how you can replace those nutrients effectively. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Raw Press channel for some more great videos. See you next time.